If you're getting started carving, there are some basic things you need to remember, whether it's wood or tools or anything. So we're going to go over a few things today to help you to become a better carver. All right, when it comes to wood, there is some confusion here when it comes to especially basswood. There is northern basswood and there's southern basswood here in North America. And northern basswood is more light, more tighter grained, and that's what I use mostly in my carvings. Now, southern basswood is a lot darker, it's stringy, it just doesn't hold the detail very well. It's because the reason why is because in the south the winters are not harsh enough, and it causes the tree to grow much faster. And so in the north, like in Minnesota, Wisconsin, where we get our wood from, the tree has a tendency to grow more slower because the winters are more harsher, and it causes the tree to cause the grains to be more tighter and to grow more slower. And so a basswood is a soft wood, but it's in the hardwood family. And so if you can, get you some scrap pieces or 1x1s or 2x2s and try them out with your tools that you have. And there's other woods you can use out there. I use sassafras, there's butternut that you can use, and there is also catawba wood here in the States that we use. And so you don't have to stick strictly with just basswood, but make sure that whenever you're choosing your wood, make sure about the lightness of it, the weight of it, and the color of it, and make sure that you know where it comes from, and that will be a great help to you. Before you begin carving, safety is the most important part, because one trip to the emergency room will pay for a lot of these gloves. Now this is my glove here that I use. It's a leather glove. It's what they call a driver's glove, but it fits to my hand, and it doesn't dry my hand out. Now, like Kevlar here, this is a Kevlar glove. It's a cut resistant. There's different stages of it, but it just slows it down. It does not stop the cut from like a stabbing cut, but it will help in the slicing cut. But always too, in safety, and never carve when you're tired. Less distractions around you is a lot better. Then also, there's thumb guards you can put on your thumb as you're drawing that knife toward you. They keep these little micro cuts from getting into your finger, your thumb here, and infecting you. And so protect yourself, and that way you'll have an enjoyable more time of carving. Then also too, there's another thing that I recommend if you can, and that is vet wrap, or they call it a coach's wrap. You can cut this any way or shape and wrap it around your thumb or fingers if you don't want to buy a finger guard. And you can get this at your local drugstore, anywhere you want to get them at, and they last for a long time. And when they wear out, you just roll it off and try it again and get you another piece to put on your finger. So these are just a few things to remember to keep carving enjoyable, and also to keep you from having to go to the emergency room. We're going to talk about tools today, and always encourage people, try before you buy if you possibly can. And so whenever you're trying out tools at a wood carving show or anything, always pick up the tool if it fits your hand good. And also too, the different lengths of blades is important. I usually use about 4 different lengths of blades, and a long one for getting in between legs. And probably my one that I use the most is this little guy right here. He's my roughing out guy. And then more of a detailed knife. And then here I use this knife here, a very thin blade. It's for lips and eyes. Also, another good tool to have, I like, is they call them a soft V tool. And Mike Shipley makes these, or did make them. They are great for lips, for anything like that, to give soft features. And I absolutely love these two here, and they are just absolutely, I think, important part of your tool bag or your toolkit that you have. And of course, our parting tools are also called a V tool. Different sizes. Best tool you can use is a larger tool. Start out with large. You can always remove more off, a lot of wood off of your project. And so the bigger the tool, the better off you're going to be as far as removing a lot of real estate, and it'll save you a lot of time on that. And then we come down to the U-gouges. The U-gouges are for making hair or texturing for trees. And so there's different varieties of U-gouges. You know, this one here would be for larger hair and for texturing larger leaves on trees and for background. And so they can go down to almost to a micro size. This is about a number 2, and I use this putting in nostrils on smaller carvings. And so then also you have your flatter chisels like this number 5, and it is good for removing background when you're relief carving, or even turning it over and rounding and shaping a nose or a chin or a hand. And that's another thing I like, is I can flip it over and use a tool for more than just one area of carving. So that's kind of a basic of a rundown of the tools. And so the main thing about it is, if you can, again, try before you buy, and it will save you a lot of heartache down the road. To continue having fun carving, it's important that you keep your tools in good shape. And every time that I get ready to sit down and carve, I either get on the buffing wheel or my strop here. And again, it just takes a few strokes to get that edge back. I do it first thing before I sit down and carve, and then I do it at evening time as I close out for the day. That way they'll be ready to go tomorrow. This is a flat plane knife, and it is a flat grind. And so it's gonna lay pretty flat on this strop here. And so again, I put my finger right here against the shank of it, and I hold it down, and I just drop it about 10 to 12 times on each side. And again, always keeping that tool moving in the direction. And this again will do wonders for your carving and for yourself, and it will be less for you to have to be pushing through the wood and struggling through the wood by keeping your tools honed and ready to go for you to enjoy carving. As you're getting started in carving, it's always good to remember certain cuts that you need to make, and it will help you to become a better carver and a safer carver. And one of the first ones is what we call a stop cut. And that basically is you're putting a cut in the wood to keep you going further than you need to go. Especially if you're going up to carving a face, you want to be able to put a stop cut there just right under the nose to keep that from removing the nose. And so that's another, is a good stop cut. Even in relief carving, stop cuts are very vital when you're removing the background for your landscaping, for a building or anything like that there. And then also you have your push cut, and that is when you're pushing away from you, and whether it's with a gouge or with your knife here, you're pushing, and you're using that thumb back here. You're on your weak hand. I'm right-handed, so my left thumb is my power and my right hand is my guide, and that is a pushing cut, and I'm pushing away from me. And then of course always it is the pull cut is important too, or they call it a paring cut. And just like you're paring a carrot or cutting a potato up, and you're pulling this towards you and removing that wood there also. And then there is the sweeping cut, where you're taking like a rolling cut, like I showed in a video about making wrinkles. And this is a sweeping cut, where you just go in and you just sweep through here and roll right through your wood there. And this takes practice, as I said in the other videos concerning wrinkles. But this is another good way of enhancing your carving, is by a sweeping cut. And then of course there is the chip cut, where you would come in and make a series of 3 cuts to create like the corner of something for an eyeball, and that is called a chip cut. Or in chip carving, they use this cut also in wood carving too. And so those are just the basics there. And there also is another one. It's called an undercut, and it's where you would come under, you make your stop cut like I did here, and then you come in underneath here and you relieve that wood from underneath that stop cut there, and it creates a shadow. And so those are the basic cuts that you just need to remember. And what I would do, I would just take your knife and practice these cuts That way you're comfortable and that you learn control, and it'll help you in your carving. So these are just some basic things that I've just showed you today to make you a great carver, and it takes time. Be patient, and but if you like the video, please subscribe, and we'd like to hear your comments down in the comment section. And also we have other videos online also that will be able to help you to become a better carver. And we appreciate your time, and thank you for tuning in, and happy carving.